So what I'm going to do, I can't see because of the lights, but if Stevie could get his mic on, we're going to have a conversation with Stevie B, who is a great friend. We're going to talk about the importance of the role that we have as heroes within the journey, the role that we have with regards to proper food, proper nutrition, proper sleep, proper exercise. And I think about it like this. I've been thinking about this week. If we are entering a journey, if you're going to climb up Sleeve Donard, you don't bring a chippy with you, you know? If you're going to climb up Sleeve Donard, you're going to have your water, you're going to have your banana, your trail mix, whatever it may be. And it's a bit like everything. I think the moment we start seeing ourselves as performers in this game of life, and we start to accept that role and look after ourselves a bit better, then sometimes we don't need as much resilience as we think we do. If sometimes we're better fed and we're spending time with good people and we're getting better sleep, then we don't need to go through the resilience piece. Our window of tolerance increases. And to increase your window of tolerance, we're going to talk about nutrition, we're going to talk about sleep, we're going to talk about movement, we're going to talk about the low-hanging fruit that probably has the biggest impact on your life. So what I would like you to do, folks, a very, very warm round of applause for Stevie B.
Hello, how you all doing?
So, Stevie, thank you. Thank you very much. No, thank you. We'll talk about you in a second, but you've been on a massive change, massive journey. You're on a great trajectory. We're going to talk about some of the events you've got coming up, but what has resonated with you so far with regards to your own journey to where you are today and where you're going?
Probably just, being yourself. That's it. One thing that I find is overlooked, maybe because it's the hardest thing to do. Everyone tells you, be yourself, but sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. And the more you can learn about yourself and get familiar with yourself and be a good friend to yourself, I think things can start to happen then, because the outside is noise.
Yeah. It's hard to cut through that noise sometimes.
Yeah, you have to work at it.
Yeah. How have you worked at it?
I've worked, see, I'd be hesitant in giving people advice because I'm an extremist. I like to go full tilt at things.
Well, we met each other back in the day at meditation and breathwork classes, and rapé and all the rest of it. We kind of bumped into each other quite a few years before we started working with each other. Our paths were crossing, and we knew we were both inquisitive to change, and we were probably asking questions of ourselves at that point, but probably not knowing what the answer is. What, if you can, I suppose, summarize what that, if you put yourself in the shoes of somebody that's here today thinking, I don't know where to start. Mm-hmm. I know I want more, and I know I want to be kinder to myself, and I know I want to probably explore this a wee bit more. What advice would you give people to start off?
Well, I remember the first time I had this realization. I was walking around the prairie in Benburb and I was listening to a podcast, and I remember clear as day. I remember where I was standing in the prairie, lovely walk, there's water fall and all that stuff. There was a big pelican in the background, and it said about environment and your friendship group. And I was 22 at the time when I was listening to that, so I had my foot in the door of self-development. But I remember thinking, clear as day, I have to stop hanging around with all my friends here.
Right.
I love these people. I grew up with these people. But if I want to go to the level that I'm listening to in the podcast and I'm reading in the books, then I'm gonna have to really step away from all my friends. Mm. And I wasn't ready for that then, but I knew what I had to do. And it maybe took me 3 or 4 years to go on to the next level, to try and I'm gonna have to just step out here, get uncomfortable, because I had no girlfriend at the time. And I was thinking, I'm gonna be who am I gonna hang around with? Who am I gonna talk to? Yeah. And that was, and why I'm saying that is environment is key. Who you're with, who you're surrounding yourself with, who you can check in with is probably one of the most important things, because it's way too hard to do it on your own.
Yeah. And there's a great quote I love by James Clear about environment. He said, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behaviour. Mm-hmm. And it's so true. I think the people we spend our time with, the places where we spend our time, it has a massive impact on how we think and how we show up in the world. And That though, like that for me, we're listening to you is a bit like going back to the caterpillar and the butterfly. The caterpillar must give up being a caterpillar, and it's really, really difficult. And I think we go through that process several times in life. And this is why I suppose today I want to get across that change is hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, if change was easy, we'd all be millionaires with six packs, you know, and that's not the case, certainly not for me after Christmas. On that note, we have spent some great times together. Donegal, the first retreat in Spain this year. When you are cooking, when you're talking about food, when you're preparing food, you are in your element. Like you're just lit up, happy. Where did the love and passion come from for nutrition and food?
It came, so I started cooking when I was 15. Long story short, school didn't go good, all the usual carry on. But it was just, I just was cooking to not go to school, so that was the alternative, and it was a great happy days. And it was really until I was about 20, like again, starting listening to them podcasts, getting into training, looking after myself. I broke my leg one time. I was out for a full bender, and I broke my leg somewhere between the Friday and the Sunday, and I woke up for work on the Monday, couldn't get out of bed. Said to mummy came in to get me. Leg was swollen up, and it was broken. So you're going into the A&E in the morning, or how do you break it? And I had no idea how I broke it. And I'm not saying that to be cool. I'm saying it because it was like super embarrassing, and that's when you like something has to change here. So when that healing process started, doubled down on looking after myself, and it started with just working out, training, running, and then I realised, if I'm adding nutrition into this, you know, I can really. This is really moving the needle now. And then I started making I didn't like healthy food. A lot of people think that I just was born loving vegetables. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when I was like 10. So I was really sensitive to smells and textures, and like stuff wasn't the way I wanted. I was like, oh fuck that, no. So I had to train myself really, really hard to like the things, like vegetables, like smells, like fish, like all that carry on. And that was the process that I think that has made me fall in love with cooking, because I'm thinking now, like if I go back to that boy, I'm making food for him that he can enjoy, that he loves, that tastes good to him, that doesn't there's nothing intrusive in it. Like when I make my videos, I talk about intrusive onions and intrusive veg. I don't like stuff cut big still. Like
I remember you telling, and that shocked me because I know how much you love food, and the fact that you see food as medicine, and it shocked me that you said up until a certain age you were only eating like chicken dippers and chips or something, was it?
Yeah.
Like it was only maybe
pizzas, you know, fries to go. Remember fries to go? Put them in the microwave. Yeah, loved them.
That was it.
Pizzas, extra cheese. They had to be like them wee small mini pizzas. Didn't like big pizzas or slices of pizzas. It had to be like nice wee ones. With extra cheese.
Extra cheese. Yeah. What I remember that retreat we went on in Spain in September. I had a conversation with you after it because I was quite busy and probably a bit stressed on the run up to it. And then when you're there, we were working to make sure that it went really smoothly for everyone else. But like you cooked for everyone, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and everything in between. It was all whole foods. You know, you were avoiding like processed foods. No one was eating crap.
Yeah.
And my whoop was the improvement in my heart rate variability, my improvement in my sleep, the improvement in my mood, everything. And yes, there was different pieces in that. There was a bit of winter sunshine. The environment was great. We had amazing people. But the food out of all those things seemed to have the biggest return on me. When did you start realizing that aspect that there's more to food than just eating? It has a massive impact on how you feel and how you show up.
Well, I think to anyone it should be abundantly obvious. I mean, like, if you've seen a child give a dog Haribo, you'd be saying, "What are you doing giving that dog Haribo?" But you can have the Haribo.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so clear. If you see, and then the parent will go over and take a few Haribo off the child. And you should both be enjoying the Haribo, but the dog, no, the dog can't have a Haribo. You mad? What's wrong with you? You mental?
Yeah.
You know, so we treat animals, even like you want to take it to the next level. Look, when a dog's sick, what happens? It gets put down. We treat ourselves. We hang on. You're made to live to every last breath, no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, you should treat treat your dog. You know, treat your body. You should treat your body better than you treat your dog. And people sometimes we get lost in this world of convenience, and so when you're putting good food in your body, like it just makes completely sense to feel good.
Let's talk about good food, because you mentioned the word there that is true, convenience. And the reality is, it would appear, or people could have the perception that it is more convenient just to eat at hand. And I know I went through a phase of, if I was traveling to different talks or different events in the car, my diet, like during the week, was stopping at garages to get petrol and buying a packed sandwich, a packet of crisps, a tin of Coke, and if it was being good, a protein bar. You know, so you're living out of wrappers, and you're living out of those bright, shiny wrappers. How do we change that narrative for people that's maybe thinking, I want to eat better, but I don't know how?
Just start with the lowest hanging fruit, like, no pun intended. Like, there is there's a just, you know, I would always recommend anyone, even myself, like when I'm having a bad day, like it's just like, okay, what the next meal? Next meal you can change it. You don't have to worry about overhauling the whole diet. Like, start making small swaps. You know, focus on protein where you can, especially as we get older. Most people in this room were
Old?
aging. We're aging quicker than we'd like, and it's so important to be making sure we're getting our protein, and not like just for like bodybuilding protein, like just for living, just for getting by, just for aging gracefully.
Yeah.
You know, I wanna age and live well for as long as possible, and you do that through exercise, nutrition, sleep, and not always just like falling at the first fence, you know.
Yeah.
And it does take effort, because fast, convenient food is so convenient.
Yeah. We spoke earlier about kind of the ups and downs, and I know, again, what I find, if I feel as if I'm in a bit of that downtrend of getting too busy almost, that's when I reach for takeaways and crap. It's almost like I don't want to feel the stress anymore, so I'm going to eat rubbish. I think a lot of people are the same, where when they feel under pressure or underslept, or they have that guilt of not doing much, they tend to go for the high sugar fixes, the high fat content, almost like comfort food.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's like I want my nervous system to feel relaxed again, and I'm prepared to have alcohol or fast food to do that. I know you really value discipline, and you see it as a sense of freedom, as opposed to something that restricts you. I suppose, again, you know, to put it out for somebody in the crowd listening, how do you maintain that discipline and consistency? Is it a case of you knowing like who you want to be and the life you want to live, and making those small incremental choices? But how do you develop it over the long term?
You just keep going. You fall, get back on the wagon, and fall back, and get back on the wagon. Like, I'm no different than anyone else. I love a good time and a party, and have done. But it gets to a point where the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. You know, it's worth making that extra bit of effort to look after yourself, look after your health, to keep showing up. And the big changes is, I don't have kids or a family or anything, but I notice it with my brother and Laura. Like, when people see you starting to push on, and at first it's like, what the fuck you at? And then after that, it's like, oh, I want a bit of that. You know, so you can be an inspiration to people without having to throw it in the face, just by your actions, just by how you show up to the world.
Yeah.
It's all about being. It's who you want to be. What do you want to create for yourself? Because everything's on the table, anything's possible, and it's how you show up to the daily, mundane, boring stuff every single day, and just keep pushing, keep hammering, and then when you fail, give yourself permission to just chill out, relax, and do whatever it is to do, and then the next day go again.
Yeah. I remember somebody saying to me that when we hear the term discipline, we think of like an American drill sergeant in one of the movies. But the guy said discipline is the ultimate form of self-love. You know, it's a form of self-compassion. If you're eating well, if you're sleeping well, if you have the discipline to spend time with good people, to work on yourself, it's a form of kind of self-love. But I want to take you back to food, because I know, like, you have a bit of a mission. You have I suppose, this aspiration to teach people more about the ability to work with healthy food. And if we maybe start with talking about some of your events coming up, and then maybe go into some of the key points, how people that maybe want to make some improvements but they don't know how. I think lack of knowledge is a big thing, you know, because we've lost homemade recipes. Like my grandparents used to write all their recipes down. A lot of them have went missing. So we're losing that in the side of convenience. But if you give us an insight, Stevie, into your mission of making healthy food accessible and understandable for the masses.
Yeah, well, that's it. We're all told, and I'm saying it now, you need to eat more whole foods, but it's like telling someone to drive a car if you've never drove a car before. It's like simple.
Yeah.
All you have to do is drive the car. That's it. But if no one shows you how to do it, it's like, well, what am I doing here? Yeah. So I want to make that accessible at an entry level, and that's what I feel like I can be world class at. There's hundreds of chefs in Belfast that are more skilled and technical than me, but I've found something that I'm really good at, that I love doing, and that I know can solve a problem for people, and that is just like meeting them where they are in terms of their skill level in cooking, and just showing them a couple of different tricks, tweaks, how to season, when to season, what spices to use, how a squeeze of lemon at the end of a dish can just transform it completely. Just wee things like that is like automatic to me and automatic to most cooks, but how that can really elevate your cooking. And if you can elevate your healthy cooking, I say healthy cooking because it makes people understand it better, but what I mean is just cooking in general. When you cook for yourself more, you're aware of what's going in the food. When you're aware of what's going in the food, you take control, and there's so much in this world that we can't control. But when you're cooking for yourself, you're taking some of that power back.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy cooking. When I cook, I find it quite therapeutic. I find it quite relaxing. I love your cooking.
Thank you.
I know when we were in those retreats, I was hanging around you like a bad smell, and all the wee bits left over. I think that's my dream job, to be honest with you, a food tester. So if you ever need somebody,
You're good at it.
I'm just telling you. The only I've yet to find a food I don't like, which is maybe a bit of a problem because I would be never giving you feedback. I remember in Spain you had bits of cucumber, and I thought it's just cucumber. I'll have a bit. And I remember thinking I've never tasted cucumber like that in my life.
It's salt. Like salt is a bigger impact on flavor than any other ingredient, and people just don't know how to use it, or they're using like bad quality salt or table salt. But like that is why I think that people need to know like how to cook better, because if you start like even seasoning stuff a bit better, you'll be like, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And when you cook, like, it's not delayed gratification. You go to the gym for 6 weeks and you don't see any change. When you cook a meal for yourself, for your family, you get the instant gratification because you're eating it, tastes good. They're eating it, tastes good. Daddy, this tastes good. Mommy, this tastes good. Stephen, this tastes good. So you're getting the reward, straight away. You don't have to wait. Yeah. And that can encourage you to keep going.
We've mentioned the importance of having good people around you, and co-pilots and family members and relationships. And I think a lot of time you spent with good people is on sharing a meal. Mm-hmm. It is on breaking bread, on sharing food, on having conversations around the table. Let's talk about salt, because I know people say you're putting too much salt in that. And I remember my granda had remember the Saxa salt? A big black, it was white with the red writing and it said Sax on it. And I remember he used to just everything, his potato, everything. And I remember my mum always saying, you're putting too much salt in that. But good quality salt actually is good for you from a nutritional point of view, or is that right?
Yeah, of course. Well, what's the buzzword of the day is electrolytes. What's that? Salt.
Yeah.
And when you're cooking for yourself, I'm beating this drum dry here, but when you cook for yourself, you're in control of how much salt goes on it. When you're buying the stuff out of packets, processed foods, even restaurant foods, like you've no idea what's going in it. You've no idea how much is going in it. You've no idea what quality it is, additives, all this bullshit. And I don't say that to scare people. Like, you meet yourself where you are, but like there's a lot of things go into food that you should be aware of and you're probably not. But when you're cooking for yourself and seasoning it by yourself, for yourself, you can be a bit more bullish because I put exactly this amount in, Yeah.
Do you believe, I know you have this big mission to improve this, and I think it's something that absolutely needs to be improved immediately. And I think when I'm thinking of my kids and their kids with regards to the health, does everyone have the capability to cook in some degree? Like, bear in mind, like my meal growing up was a pot noodle sandwich. Mm-hmm. That was the height of my cooking. I used to drain the water out. It was like an anti-town Chinese is what we called it.
Yeah. I think so. Even a builder. I was talking to a guy who's on site, works hard, loves his tuna. He's like, Stevie, what'll I do here? But I'm taking this. He's like really, really trying. So I was like, okay, we're going to get the tin of tuna. Crack open the tin of tuna. put that into a bowl, whack it into a bowl, bit of Greek yogurt, bit of sriracha, tiny bit of salt and pepper, and he's like, fuck me, Lord, this is deadly. This is unreal. And I'm like, bro, yes. And he goes, no mayonnaise or nothing, no. So we can use, like, there's little tricks and stuff, nice big thick Greek yogurt. When you mix that with garlic powder or a little bit of sriracha, like it can trick the palate into thinking it's a mayonnaise. Wow. And like it can, like, stuff like that. There's so much low hanging fruit that we can play about with to try and lift our food without throwing a load of nonsense into it.
I actually feel guilty now that there's biscuits on for people at the interval. But I love that expression, low hanging fruit, because it is about convenience. Works both ways. Mm-hmm. You know, if you have your fruit and your vegetables in your fridge and cupboard, that's convenient. You have a great social media presence with regards to helping people do things like that. You know, putting the sriracha and the bit of the spices into a tin of tuna, which makes it taste nicer, which means they're maybe going to make that for a sandwich instead of going to the shop for the tin of Coke and the packet of crisps. Let's talk about the events you've got coming up, Stevie, in the waterfront, because this is the start. I know social media is kind of, and it's an amazing page. There's some of the things I have tried as well. It's when I think of cooking and following instructions, it's just too much information. Your videos are short and sweet. They're maybe a minute, 90 seconds, and they're flying through it in layman's terms. Very, very simplified for healthy, tasty food. And you're bringing this to the stage of the Waterfront Hall to kind of get people in a room and say, right, let's cook, let's be healthier together. Let's talk about the shows.
Yeah, so Rob McConnell, I'm sure a lot of people in here know him. He gave me an amazing opportunity. And I think he's done where he's in there somewhere. I'm very, very grateful for it. He's putting on 2, 3, 4 cooking shows at the Waterfront. The tickets are on sale for 2 of them at the minute. It's called Plate Up. So the first one's called Plate Up for Flavour. And that'll be the emphasis on what we've just talked about, basically sort of making healthy food taste good or food taste good. A couple of tricks and tips. I'm talking about my 4 pillars of flavour. So that's salt, acidity, aromatics, and fat. And how, like, no matter what you're cooking, you don't need a recipe as such for it. You just need to think, okay, where's my salt coming from? Where's my acidity coming from? Where's the aromatics? Where's the fat? And with that framework, you can basically, in theory, cook anything. And that's on the 12th of February, which is pretty soon. So yeah. And the second one is Plate Up for Performance, and I'm getting Tony and Jen in from that. Tony and Jen used to have a place in Belfast, brilliant cafe, way beyond its time. If they opened it now, they'd be killing it, but it was just, they're not. But anyway, they were a big inspiration for me. They were bringing this, like, sort of Whole Foods thing over here years ago, and I was like, this is brilliant, this is unbelievable. I can't believe someone around here is doing it. So they're coming up. It's going to be more for performance, Plate Up for Performance. Tony's a sports nutritionist, and we're going to focus on, like, more meals that are suited for, like, people that want to, like, are in sports or exercise, and he's going to give all the sciencey stuff. I don't know much about that, but
Tony's brilliant.
But
even that is interesting, the fact that you can tweak your meals and eat a certain way and it will increase your performance.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about journeying up and down. We're talking about navigating the peaks and valleys. We're talking about growth. But the reality is, and it's a fact, that you can eat to increase and improve that performance.
Definitely, and your energy, how you show up for your family, how you show up for your friends, how you show up for your business, how you show up in your sport, how you show up in your runs. You know, your 10Ks, your 5Ks, your marathons, your whatever, your walk with a dog. Like, your cooking has got the keys to that castle all day long, you know, and you will feel that there won't be as many, when you eat a more whole food, balanced diet. That doesn't mean like full lettuce, leaves, and just all that bullshit. I mean, just a nicer, clean, consistent diet. You don't have the peaks and troughs as much. It's more stable.
Yeah.
You can feel more controlled. You're not like going to the cupboards every 2 minutes, because when you're eating right, in my opinion, you should be eating well and eating until you're fueled and full. Food is the fuel for your body, and you should treat it like such.
I totally agree. I said, what date is the first one?
First one is the Plate Up series?
Yeah.
First one is the Plate Up series that everyone's going to buy tickets to in here, yeah?
Put your hands up if you are going already. I know there's, there's quite a few.
I see about 3 hands, Kieran.
No, there's quite a few.
Hopefully
4,
we'll get pumped up.
No, well, I know there's quite a few of us going. It is going to be a great night. It is. We're talking about this, and as you're talking, I wanted to do this conversation with you because it is probably the most effective thing. That and sleep, maybe. Food is probably the most effective thing to increase your mood and performance, but probably the most abused in this day and age from all of us. And with your energy, with your know-how and experience, I genuinely think that is going to be great crack, a massive learning curve, but a great night out.
And they're building me a kitchen. The waterfront.
No way.
Oh yeah, we've got a full. It's not going to be a boring nutrition lecture.
So
like
wait,
that.
we've got a microwave, toaster,
Air
kettle.
fryer, toaster. Yeah, we're got. There's going to be it's going to be practical, fun, engaging. Not like here's how much broccoli you should be eating a day. Here's how much spinach you should be eating a day. You know.
Do you need anyone to taste the food?
We're going to fun.
Do you need anyone to taste the food for you?
There's going to be tasters, Ken. There's going to be tasters.
So how do people get tickets? Because it would be a great, I think, people in this room, they're into well-being, they're into self-development, they want to improve. And I think now from listening to you, it's very, very clear that better nutrition can play a massive role in that. Where can people pick up tickets today for that?
Get the tickets at the Waterfront website. Waterfront website, yeah. Or if you're on my Instagram, Chef Stevie B, there's a link in the bio for the Waterfront website.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
First one, 12th of February.
12th of February and the 11th of April.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I know there's a few of us going. It would be great to see you all. It'll be a great night out. And in the meantime, go on to Stevie's page, Stevie B or Chef Stevie.
Chef Stevie B, yeah.
Oh.
Chef_Stevie B.
Yeah, and I think like we're talking about reducing the noise. We're talking about navigating 2026. And I think if there's certain pillars that are part of that, which is your sleep, your exercise, the people you spend time with, and 100% your nutrition, I think the journey, and this is what it is, to try and make life not seem like a series of steep ups and downs. And I think the nutrition will really help raise the bar for that. But I hope to see you there. Before all that, if we could please give Stevie a very warm round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Fuck your high five.